This happened a few months ago while I was living alone in a quiet apartment complex just outside the city. The kind of place where nothing unusual ever happens, and where nights are so still that even the smallest sound feels amplified. And what started as what seemed like a simple delivery mistake slowly turned into something much darker. Something that made me realize that the man standing outside my door wasn't there to drop off food at all, but was part of something planned, something deliberate. And by the time I understood what was really happening, it was already too late to feel safe inside my own home. I opened my front door, expecting to grab my food and go back inside, not thinking much of it because it was already late, around 2:30 a.m., and I had been up all night working, barely paying attention to anything except my laptop screen and the quiet hum of my apartment. But the second I unlocked the door and pulled it open, I realized something was wrong. Because standing there on the other side was a man holding a DoorDash bag. And the first thing he said to me in a calm, flat voice was, "Order for you." The problem was, I hadn't ordered anything. Not that night, not earlier, not even by accident. And when I told him that, expecting him to apologize and leave like any normal delivery driver would, he didn't move, didn't check his phone, didn't even look confused. He just stood there staring at me as if he had been expecting that exact response. I frowned and told him again that he had the wrong place, but instead of leaving, he tilted his head slightly and asked, "Are you sure?" In a tone that didn't sound like a question at all. More like he already knew the answer and was waiting for me to realize something I hadn't yet. I felt this small knot form in my stomach, but I tried to stay calm and explained again that I hadn't placed any order. And that's when he slowly lifted the bag a little higher and said, "There's an order here for this address, and it's already paid." Which immediately made everything feel off, because if it was already paid, that meant someone had used my address intentionally, and I knew for a fact it wasn't me. I started to close the door, wanting to end the interaction as quickly as possible, but before it could shut, his hand moved forward just enough to stop it, not forcefully, not aggressively, but deliberately. Like he had all the time in the world. And then he said quietly, "Wait, you should take it." Which instantly made my heart start racing because there was something wrong with the way he said it. Something that didn't feel like a normal suggestion. I asked him why, and after a brief pause, he said something that I still can't forget. Because it's already been delivered. And the way he said it didn't sound like an explanation, it sounded final. Like whatever was supposed to happen had already started. That was enough for me to push the door shut and lock it immediately, stepping back as I tried to process what had just happened. But within seconds, I realized something even worse. Because I didn't hear any footsteps leaving, no movement. No sound of him walking away, just silence, like he was still standing right outside my door. I slowly moved back toward the peephole and looked again, and sure enough, he was still there, in the exact same position, facing the door, not moving at all. And that's when the situation stopped feeling like a mistake and started feeling like something intentional. I grabbed my phone and quickly checked the DoorDash app, then my email, then even my bank account. But there was nothing, no orders, no charges, no notifications, which confirmed what I was already starting to fear, that this delivery was never real to begin with. Just as I was trying to figure out what to do next, My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, and when I opened it, my stomach dropped instantly because it said, "Your food is getting cold," which didn't make any sense because I hadn't given anyone my number, not recently, not that night, which meant whoever sent that message already had it. I stood there frozen for a moment, staring at the screen, before slowly turning back toward the door. And that's when I heard something that made everything worse. A faint sound coming from inside my apartment, not from the hallway, not from outside, but from somewhere deeper inside, like a floorboard creaking under someone's weight. My entire body went cold because there was only one explanation left that made sense. And it was the one I didn't want to believe, that the man at the door wasn't the real threat. He was just there to keep my attention focused in one direction, while someone else was already inside. I backed away from the door slowly, trying to stay as quiet as possible, my heart pounding so loudly it felt like it would give me away. And then I heard it again, a soft, slow movement coming from the living room, like someone walking carefully, deliberately, making sure not to make too much noise. And in that moment, survival instinct completely took over. I ran straight to my bedroom, slammed the door shut, and locked it, grabbing my phone as I dialed 911 with shaking hands, trying to explain in a whisper that someone might already be inside my apartment while another person was still outside. The dispatcher told me to stay quiet and stay where I was, but even as I was on the phone, I could hear movement getting closer. Slow footsteps crossing the apartment, then stopping just outside my bedroom door, followed by complete silence that somehow felt worse than the noise. I held my breath, not moving, not making a sound, until finally I heard something on the other side of the door, a soft whisper, so quiet it almost didn't sound real, but clear enough that I'll never forget it. "You should have taken the food." The police arrived a few minutes later, but by the time they searched the apartment, there was no one inside. No signs of forced entry, no broken locks, nothing out of place. Except for one detail that still doesn't sit right with me. The back window was slightly open, just enough for someone to slip through. And sitting on the kitchen counter was the DoorDash bag that I never took and never opened. I still don't know what was inside that bag. And honestly, I don't want to know, because whatever that delivery really was, it was never meant to feed me. It was meant to get me to open the door. And if I had trusted it for even a second longer, I don't think I would have made it out of that apartment that night. Even now, months later, I still replay that night in my head, trying to understand how someone knew my address, my number, and exactly how to get me to open that door. And the part that haunts me the most isn't just the man who stood outside pretending to deliver food, but the realization that he was never the real threat. He was just the distraction, the first move in something much bigger, something carefully planned. And every time I hear a late night knock now, even if it's just a delivery I actually ordered, I hesitate, because I've learned the hard way that sometimes the thing at your door isn't what you should be afraid of.